as a commissioner for the Indian Claims Commission, we travel across this country, and we've seen so many cases like this. Governments stepping in and taking land. As you all know, like this is what's been happening right across this country. When I saw Jackie Vautour being handled and treated this way all these years, I got really interested. Like I said earlier today, I called him and I offered my assistance to him. That's my experience with the commission, my experience with politics. I think there is something here we can do together. As far as the final outcome, we're not sure how this is going to go. I think it may be something the Royal Commission should decide on. But as far as the way he was treated and the part that the family was treated, I got really interested. And I got really curious as to how it's going to come. And I will provide any assistance, and I'll provide any connections that I have in this country to help Jackie Vautour.
What about native status? The native status issue here, what's the involvement with this as far as, or is there any involvement with this?
Well, a lot of that stuff is still in court now. We're not exactly sure what the outcome that's going to be. I'm basically looking at this as an individual's person's rights are violated, constitutional rights were violated, and that's why I'm involved. As far as the status of it all, the courts will decide, and the Royal Commission should decide on that.
Mr. Vautour has claimed Métis status in the past.
Yes, yes.
And is that another reason for your involvement here?
I'm interested in Jackie Vautour. If he claims to be a Métis and Mi'kmaq, I mean, if you take a close look, this country, this part of the country that we're on is Mi'kmaq country, right? That park and other parks in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and anywhere in the Atlantic, all belong to the Aboriginal people. That's my interest as well. But that's something else we can decide down the road. Right now, I'm here working with Jackie Vautour.
But is that part of the argument?
It's part of the argument, yes.
It is. And how do you feel about that, Mr. Vautour, in light of what, I mean, you see...
Well, as far as regarding that, is that, the battle that I carried out all the way through, because I'm a defender of rights and for the people. And when I looked into matters, I saw that the lands concerned the Mi'kmaq people. And I've read a whole lot about history. And in history, we cannot sidetrack the matter. So it has to be that where I'm living on what still is, I think, Mi'kmaq land.
Can you just clarify you claimed Métis status as well as Mi'kmaq status? Is that correct?
Well, I'm a Mi'kmaq Métis.
Mr. Augustine, you mentioned Mr. Vautour made these allegations about ministers not signing things and then they're being acted on. What's your take on that? When you said that you've seen this sort of thing before.
Well, having worked closely with governments, since 1976, you made a statement earlier in regards sometimes the bureaucrats act on behalf of the minister. They do have the authority, but sometimes bureaucrats will act on their own, and only later in years you'll find out that the minister was not aware, or the minister denies even knowing all the facts or any facts at all. There's no doubt that bureaucrats will act on their behalf. In this case, I suspect that somewhere along now you go back to the years in 69, 70 when the governments were they were feared by most people. When they moved into a territory, if they wanted your land, I mean, we've seen First Nations people across this country just stripped of their culture, their land, and their rights. And to pick on one family, it would be a cakewalk for most.
Is there going to be either of you planning to make an access to information request for this eviction document? Is that what's...
Yes, sir.
And have you done that already, or are you going to?
I act with Mr. Vautour's instructions. I don't want to get out of line here.
Well, Mr. Vautour, then, are you planning to make an access to information request for that eviction document, so you can have it in your hands and see what the signature is there?
Well, I've already gone through. You're speaking about the Minister of Natural Resources with his signature on the application. Well, I've already gone through 2 weeks of hearings, and those 2 weeks of hearings with the government lawyer certainly brought up that that document does not exist, because we gave them time in order to bring forward that document, and they were unable to produce it. So we hired a lawyer in Moncton, Wendell Maxwell, to do a research here in Moncton, and he was unsuccessful of finding that document. So whatever happened to the document, we don't know. We don't know if the document was forged when it was handed over to the judge. We don't even know if it was handed over to the judge. We don't know whether the document exists at all. So in our discovery, we found that a lawyer in Fredericton was the one who handed the warrant to the sheriff. So that exists in our discovery books.
Where does Mr. Boudreau hang his hat these days? Is he still in the province? Mr. Boudreau, is he still in the province?
Yes, he is.
And where in the province?
He's in Batters.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just curious, why did you not bring him here with you today? It's certainly, not that your story is incredible, but I mean, that would certainly add a little bit more credibility to it. Did he not want to come, or was there a reason for it,
Well,
sir?
you have to look at the whole history of the matter way back, and I went through 13 lawyers and 12 different judges in the province of New Brunswick. And when we went to the federal court, the federal judge threw out everything. That's what the judges had decided here in the province of New Brunswick against me. So where do I go from there? I go to the people who were the first people of this land. And that's why I have Chief Augustine with me here today.
Est-ce que vous espérez prouver que l'existence du parc Couchibouguois n'est pas légitime?
Pardon?
Est-ce que vous espérez prouver que l'existence du parc Couchibouguois n'est pas légitime?
Ça fait longtemps qu'il n'est pas légitime. Il n'est pas légitime à partir du début, madame. La loi sur l'expropriation, parce que la province du Nouveau-Brunswick a fait l'expropriation, elle s'est servie de la loi qu'on appelle la loi de l'année 1952. Ça permettait seulement d'élargir des routes, puis créer bâtir des ponts, puis créer des digues. C'est ça la seule chose que la loi permettait de faire. C'est ça la loi que Louis Robichaud s'est servi dans les temps pour enlever toutes des familles, toutes des communautés.
If your eviction is proven to be an illegal act, what happens then?
How is that?
If your eviction is proven to be an illegal act based on these allegations, what happens then?
We don't know what happens then. The law has to deal with that. There's no doubt about that. I think we could call for a Royal Commission of Inquiry, and I think that's probably what should happen in order to divulge the whole matter. Other matters probably could happen, but I think maybe the main thing would be the Royal Commission.